So Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley collided in a razor-edge chess match that turned into a brawl. Early jabs, sly feints and sharp footwork gave way to thudding right hands and cunning traps. Parker's double jab, double left hook set the rhythm and was met by Wardley's surge and snipe uppercut, which flipped the momentum. This was composure versus chaos, creativity versus power, and a hotly debated stoppage that asked the question if intelligent defense was ignored. The 11th survival test, hold, smother, pivot, frames the fight's cruel calculus. And then, what's the road ahead? Parker's rebuild and rematch questions, or Wardley's ascent towards elite names, where scouting, timing, and venomous counters make every second feel loaded with jeopardy. This was truly a great fight. Parker starts round one with a double jab to the body. To me, that's like quite dangerous. And then he does I believe it was like a triple jab left hook. And that, of course, represents punch creativity. And then we have the double jab, double left hook. And, I love it when fighters double up with the left hook. And Parker was very confident. He was very confident going through the phases in round one. And here was an observation. Parker had no hesitancy to let his hands go. Now think of this. Against Deontay Wilder, he was much more cautious. So my question at the time was, is Parker respecting Wardley's power enough? Now Parker is throwing the left hook off the back foot, very fast, and it's a very dangerous punch. And at this point, Parker is out jabbing Wardley, and he's out jabbing him significantly from what I can see. Now Parker is subtly also looking for the right hand, so it's like he's setting a deflection trap. And what you know it, a right hand counter, and Wardley looks a little bit dazed. But Fabio then finds a right hand to the top of the head. Clearly, the way he positioned that punch would suggest that they've worked on that. So Fabio is now throwing bombs, but he's using his feints, which make it harder to judge or read the attack or counter the attack. Wardley throws two right hands through the target. So he throws it through the target as opposed to at the target. And guess what? Parker is in trouble, clearly. Wardley is having success with the right uppercut. And Parker is trying the left hook counter, but it's unsuccessful. And it's a dangerous counter to throw. So Wardley is doing the jab to the body and he's throwing the right hand to the top of the head. And it's particularly dangerous. I feel that as the fight progressed from round two, Parker actually started to regain some control over the fight. This is where Parker's boxing intelligence and experience is showing. He is able to keep composed and stick to the game plan. Losing composure is one of the things that separates levels in boxing. It really does separate levels in boxing, and intelligent boxers maintain composure. Intelligent boxers maintain composure. And there are a variety of battles here. The jab battle, the feint battle, the movement battle, and the variation of punching at and through the target. So I feel that Wardley sets quite clever traps. Before you judge, let me explain. When he gets hit, particularly when he gets hit flush, he retreats. And what this means is that the opponent naturally comes forward. And this gives him, Wardley, the range to land his big punches. He may have done this in round 2 and round 10. I say may because it was hard to tell if he was hurt or not. It was hard to tell if he was hurt or not. Anyway, Evander Holyfield, the great Evander Holyfield, would set this type of trap. And James Toney would also use this type of trap to lure an opponent in, to give an opponent a false sense of security. So referees have a hard job. Referees have a hard job. But saying that, Joseph Parker did looked like he was intelligently defending himself. And Wardley was smart here. He was very smart here because he took the power off the shots, and that enabled him to throw more shots. So he took the power off the punches, which enabled him to throw more punches. But Parker still looked like he was aware. Now, to play devil's advocate, Wardley is a devastating puncher. He broke Frazier Clarke's jaw. That was a real shocking knockout. So maybe that power played a psychological role in the referee's decision making. But Joseph Parker is experienced and probably deserved the benefit of the doubt in hindsight. He probably deserved the benefit of the doubt in hindsight. However, we can't objectively be sure. And the referee's prerogative, what is the referee's prerogative, is to protect the fighters. But I can totally understand Parker's frustration, and I can totally understand Parker's team's frustration at that stoppage. I feel that the 11th round was tough. It was real tough. But could Joseph Parker have done anything different, or is that a bit harsh? Considering the weight he was carrying, 262 pounds, I was surprised that he did not try to hold more in the fight, and he did not try to hold more in round 11. For example, if he put his weight on Wardley, that would have been a barrier for Wardley. Also, the awareness of the referee's close proximity was problematic. Let me explain. Think of it like this. If the referee is on your right side and is moving closer to you because he feels he may stop the fight, then you should let the right hand go to let him know that you're not hurt. So if the referee is moving closer, that indicates he could stop the fight. You should then throw the right hand as an indication that you have awareness. And on the other side, if you throw the left hook, the referee might not be able to see the punch because the left side in that situation is blurring his vision. So as a fighter, especially as an experienced former champion, you would expect that level of awareness. But one could argue that Parker did have that level of awareness, and he didn't react with punches, he reacted with intelligent defending. But the question should be asked, could Parker have managed this situation better? Or did he manage it well, but the referee overreacted? And was it the right call? Parker was calm, and that comes with experience, but maybe considering the referee's actions, he was too calm. Again, this is all hindsight bias. But realistically, you can influence, but you can't change another person's decision. Parker can definitely rebuild. He definitely can rebuild. And I think he's a really good fighter. He performed really well in certain points of this fight. He showed strength, speed, and durability. And considering he carried 262 pounds, I think he managed that really well. He punched fast and he had good movement. But how does Parker rebuild? Well, he could do a tune-up, or he could try to get a rematch with Wardley. I feel that Parker has a great team, so I don't feel he needs to make any changes there. However, you would think if he does have the rematch with Wardley, he would need to make some strategic variations, or he would need to make some strategic changes. And he's more than capable of doing that. I thought Parker's jab looked good, and I thought his double, triple left hooks looked really good as well. Maybe, just maybe, he was just too aggressive, and this gave Wardley too many punching opportunities. So I think if he was to fight again in the rematch, he would need to focus on nullifying Wardley's punch opportunities, similar to how he did against Deontay Wilder. And of course, he would have to deal with that counter right uppercut, because that was what ended the fight, and he would need to train to deal with that right hand to the top of the head, because that was a significant punch in round 2. But what about Wardley? What about Wardley? This was a great performance. They're talking about the Usyk fight. against the great Usyk. Now, because Wardley has power, he has significant power, he has a significant chance. Also, I feel that Ben Davidson is a massive, massive part of his success. He's a massive part of his success. Those scouting reports that Ben Davidson makes references to, they make a significant difference. And I feel that Usyk will respect Fabio Wardley's power more. He will do more to negate Fabio Wardley's power. But let it be known, Wardley would be a big underdog, probably, but he has a chance against anyone. And it's not just about his power, it's about the traps that he uses to unleash that power.